This is an important topic to me personally because I think it's important that we know how we shall be interacting with you throughout the program so that we don't have clashes. And also, the other thing why it is very important is that in a professional environment, there, there are things that we expect of you because you basically carry our image. Okay, so how you carry yourself around also has implication on how the public views students from our institution. So that is why this topic is actually very, very paramount. We want you to be very good ambassadors for the institution. You should be able to interact with people with humility, with kindness, with politeness that is required of professionals. So we, I personally think proper etiquette is the very, very key in your success, in you getting what you need to get. Okay? How you respond to people, how you handle business engagements reflects how far you can go. Okay? And that's why this topic is quite important. So, what is professional etiquette? It refers to the formal rules and the unwritten codes of conduct that guide polite behavior in society and among professionals. Okay? Um, there are certain things that you are expected to be knowing when interacting with people, whether people who are of your profession or whether people who are not of your profession but you perhaps working together with them, your character towards them, how you talk to them, how you handle conflicts, how you respond to emails, how you respond to your phone calls. There are certain rules, and some of these rules are not actually written, but it is expected that you should be knowing them and you should be abiding by them. If you break these rules, it's likely that you have conflicts emerging. You will lose businesses, you will lose your job just because of not understanding what you ought to do in a work environment. Okay, so when you demonstrate the appropriate etiquette, then you're likely to have a good chances of progressing in your career. Okay, and if you neglect some of these things, you'll ask yourself why you're not being promoted, why you still continue to remain in the same position over and over again. Why is it that people who come later into the organization actually progress and then I still remain at the same level? The answer could lie from how you handle yourself around. So, how do you handle yourself in an organization? From the way you communicate with people. And communication is both written and in non-written, or what you can call non-verbal. Okay, we have written communication through emails, through letters, through memos, through notices. Okay, that is written communication. Written communication in the digital world can also mean instant communication platforms like WhatsApp, how you communicate on WhatsApp, how you communicate on Messenger, and other tools for sending written information. There can be issues to do with how you conduct yourself within meetings. Okay, could be meetings that are about negotiations. It could be meetings that are concerned with, it could be even a simple job interview. It could be any kind of business meeting. How you conduct yourself during such meetings will also give you an edge. So that means that basically you need to apply etiquette in all areas of your work, not only in communication, not only in communication. Okay, that's quite important. The other part that is also very important is that you interact with people from different backgrounds and therefore different cultures. There is a tendency to view your culture as one that is superior to the other. That means that you look at other people's cultures with a condescending approach. You're thinking that your culture is the best. You may need to revise that kind of attitude. Understand what other people's cultures and respect them. It's very important for you to succeed. So be aware that your cultures are not the same and know how to blend in, issues to do with the how people eat, the dining styles, the greeting, the body language, and things like that. The gestures that could be polite in other cultures may be impolite in other cultures. Okay? So please be aware of such things. So in communication in particular, um, responses should be timely. If I sent you an instant message, with instant message I mean the message that I send and you read and then be able to respond immediately. For example, on messages on WhatsApp, those are instant messaging platforms. If you receive a message, it is very polite of you to promptly reply with respect and efficiency. And using, we can call them magic words. The words like thank you, words like I'm sorry, these are magic words. Use them because they portray politeness. Your dress code, also portrays who you are and basically your grooming standards. And then human, human, and use jokes, basically creating jokes. Be careful with jokes in the work environment or in a business environment. You can make a joke that will offend your business partner. You can make a joke that will offend your supervisor. So making a joke, you really need to be very careful with jokes. Okay? Because jokes can destroy everything. Okay? Especially if you're not familiar with the person. Okay? But maybe if you're familiar with the person, then jokes may not be bad, but they still need to be carefully crafted if you're to engage in them. Respect people's privacy. Issues to do with asking questions that are intrusive. Entering into people's lives is something that you shouldn't cross. You should know your boundaries. Okay? So there are some things that you can ask about people, and it is okay. But there are certain things that are too intrusive, or we can say they are too personal to ask. Avoid those areas. And your conduct in public, issues to do with personal hygiene, your manner of coughing, can call it coughing etiquette. How do you cough? You cough and everyone is who's that? Please keep your your computers mute. Was joined us with the reason as to why we don't want noise is that we are recording these sessions, and therefore, if we record this session with the background noisy, it's, uh, it's not a good way. It's not a so make sure you mute. I'll give you a chance to ask questions if you have questions. Agreed. Okay. So the proper coffee etiquette or sneezing etiquette is folding your arm just in this manner, or such that the droplets don't spread out to other people who are around you. And maybe if you want to basically sneeze or wipe yourself, you might need to move out, okay, such that you can clean up yourself and then come back. It's bad manners to blow your nose when people are around there. No, it's not very good. But of course, some of these things come as reflexes, but when they come as reflexes, still sneezing into your shoulder can be very helpful. Okay, so that is clear now. At the workplace, there are certain things that are expected of you. Don't barge into people's offices. When you enter people's offices, greet with respect. I've seen people here, students especially. Okay, so we are saying that at the workplace, don't just barge into people's offices. You need to knock on the door before you enter. Okay, and when you're greeting, greet respectfully. Why is this key? How do you greet respectfully? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. These are formal ways of greeting. But if you just say, how are you? That's not okay. Good morning, sir. Good morning, madam. That's appropriate. Okay. Um, the use of dear. The use of dear is you need to know how to use that word. Sometimes it can be used in a demeaning tone. Sometimes it can be used respectfully. You need to know the difference. And this is an assignment to you that I'm giving you. Go and look at when do we use the word dear and when do we not use the word dear. Okay? People's interpretations of that word differ. So you need to know the boundaries. And then professionalism generally, how you do your work, meticulous work delivered on time and on quality with integrity and transparency is what I can call professionalism. The moment you do work which is substandard, you have not delivered on time, you don't make the appropriate follow-ups, your communication is very poor, you a lot of things, issues to do with biases, issues to do with quarreling all the time, issues to do with the way you interrupt during conversations. All of things display that you are not actually a good professional. Okay? So professionalism It's part of the good behaviors that we expect of you. Okay? Delivering work on time, delivering meticulous work is very important. Being very committed to work, dressing appropriately and following your workplace rules is part of the etiquette that we expect of you. The other thing is about distinguishing your professional life from your personal life. It's very important. You have supervisors who can call you at 8 p.m. Okay, that is beyond the official working hours. You have now entered into my personal space, my personal time. You have entered into my personal life. So work starts from 8, ends at 5. Unless your work is one that requires emergency calls. You're a security person, head of security, you're the head of emergency operations. That one, when they call you at midnight, it's not. But you are a human resource, you are finance, you are whatever it is. These usual titles, please don't enter into people's personal lives. Okay, so know your limits in terms of know the boundaries. Okay, know the boundaries, and also you as an employee, don't bring your family issues into the work environment. Okay, and that's why in some organizations you have rules that prohibit dating. If you're going to date a colleague, one of you will have to leave their job. Or if you're going to have that relationship, then you need to declare. And then they see that the relationship will not affect the operations of the organization. At all times, treat people with respect and humility. Don't don't overboss and being bossy around all the time is not good. Projecting your ego over others, no. Regardless of the position that you hold, treat people with respect and be a person with humility. Okay? So now it comes to the email. Your behaviors can also be seen through the email. How you write your email. Um, your email portrays who you are. So if you have an email, for example, your email address is sexability at gmail.com. That's the email you're giving your boss. That's not a professional one, okay? So avoid playful and informal email addresses. Okay? They use your name, which can be bettyoni at gmail.com. It can be P Betty, meaning the P is for Pony and the Betty at gmail.com. Concise and very professional. Okay? If you're writing an email, include the subject line. I always ask students, what are the parts of an email? By now, I believe you know the parts. Excuse me. Oh, by now, I believe you know the parts of an email, where we have the the subject line, where we have the salutation, the body, and the signature. Those are the parts of an email. So all those parts need to be written in the most professional way possible. So a concise subject lines should be used so that the person knows what you're going to write about or what you're writing about. And then the salutation with the proper titles. dear Mr. Patrick, dear Mr. John, Miss, Mrs. and so on, so the appropriate titles. Okay? At all times, use the polite words. So far, the polite words that we have seen: sorry, thank you, please, okay, kindly send me this, please send me this. That portrays being polite, okay? That's very important in your emails. And I will be seeing this throughout our interactions. We will be seeing the emails that come from you. Professional, that is me using a respectful tone. When you use capital letters in your emails, it means that you're shouting. So avoid them. Use lowercase letters, what we call small letters. Okay, when you're writing, avoid writing when you are very annoyed. The issue with the emails is that they're not like WhatsApp messages where when you send a message and then you think that message was not appropriate, you can delete it before the other person sees it. That's WhatsApp. But emails, no. Emails, no. When it has gone, it has gone. When you delete it, you delete what you have, but the other person, it is in their inbox. So that means that don't send things that you will regret. The email does not require you to write lengthy messages. If you're going to write an email that is lengthy, you better think about alternatives. Think about using using a Skype meeting. Have a Skype meeting, Zoom meeting, Google Meet meeting, or calling them direct on their phone call. Okay, so emails are basically not supposed to be very long. Okay, but that is not to say that the long emails are prohibited. You can still write long emails, but in particular situations. And sometimes you may just, instead of writing a long email, you may write your message in a Word document and then just attach it. Okay, so for example, you can write a document, maybe your position on a particular decision to be made. So you write your analysis and then you send it as an attachment rather than as an email. Okay, that could be helpful. So be very clear, very concise. Avoid rambling. Rambling is you're speaking, but there is no substance people are picking from what you're speaking, and the unnecessary repetition. Okay. Provide all necessary answers to prevent follow-up emails. Usually, if you write an email and send it to another person, and that person calls you back on the phone, if they are not giving you a further direction and they are asking you questions about the email you have sent, you have failed in your communication. You have failed in your communication. Good communication should be one that does not give room for people to ask questions or to ask for clarifications. I want you to go and read about the 7 C's of communication. The 7 C's of communication. You will see that completeness, conciseness, those are some of the C's of communication. The moment your communication is not complete, then you have a problem. So you have follow-up emails. Yet you don't want to have this back and forth emails coming. Okay? Avoid emojis or icons. You can call them emoticons and abbreviations. because they will not be understood in the same way. So avoid them. Maybe icons, if you have to use sparingly, because I've seen that in the working environments, people are now starting to adopt how to use these the emojis. So if you use them sparingly, don't send an email you have not read through. Some errors are embarrassing. Some errors are embarrassing in an email. There is there is a white person who wrote to me an email. So instead of saying Bosco, they said black. Okay, that can easily be misinterpreted as someone who is racist. Okay, and it can be taken out of context. So please read through your emails before you send, because some of the errors can be highly embarrassing. Errors to do with spelling, and there are many spell checkers on the internet that you can use to improve your writing. Usually in your email you have what you call the signature. The signature contains some of the contact information. So you put them there, and your full names. If you're a good professional, you respond within 24 hours to all your emails. And delaying to send emails to reply to emails is a sign of unprofessionalism. You're not a professional. If you're attaching files, attach those that are necessary. Don't attach a lot of things that basically cause confusion. Jokes in emails should be avoided. When you're sending messages that are sensitive, you may consider other approaches. Emails may not be 100% secure. So issues of confidentiality. Know who you can copy in your emails. Don't just write emails to everyone. Okay? In an organization, you're communicating with human resource, and that's the person that you should be writing to, not to everyone within the organization. So that thing of reply to all, avoid it. Be careful when you're going to use that. So we come to the phone call. When call during your working hours, okay, politeness still applies. If the person that you're calling doesn't know you, say, hello, this is Bosco, I'm calling from this organization. I want to inquire about this. I have a lot of problem with people who take long to explain why they have called. Someone calls you, you are in a meeting, but you said name it. You decide to pick this call. You move out of the meeting to pick the call. So this person takes 2 minutes without explaining to you why they are calling you. Okay, you are basically assuming that everyone is free. Not everyone is free. People are occupied. So when they pick up your call, go straight to the point. I am so and so. Basically, hello, good evening. I am so and so. I've called to follow up on the order that you had made. Action. We call it a call to action. Okay? Call to action. What do you want the other person to do? Okay, you can go into explaining if the other person asks you and they don't understand who they are basically talking to and they don't understand the order. Okay? So, know that not all people are available for your calls. Okay? If you have called and they have not picked, maybe you can send them the message. Good evening or good morning. I am so and so. I called you from this organization. This is what I wanted. Okay. If you're the one receiving the phone call, still greet them, say good. There's this tendency of someone saying, good evening to you. How are you doing? Or good evening, and then the response is, how are you doing? That usually does not go well with people. If I say good evening, you say good evening to you. I can't say good evening, and then you say, how are you doing? It's not polite. Yet, basically, we expect you to be very, very polite. So let me check who has spoken. If you are receiving that call in a place that is noisy, move to a place which is noise free, and then have that conversation. Okay. Usually, the person who has called is the one to switch off. Sometimes people don't take it nicely if they hold you and then they say goodbye, or before they say goodbye, you are the one who has switched the phone off. That is not usually good. Okay, the person who has called you, unless they forget, then you can switch off. Okay, so usually that positive note is very important. And then there are people who will always sound like they are in a rush. Okay, in a rush, they are not having time to listen to what you're talking about. So be careful of portraying that kind of message to the other person. And then voice messaging. These days we have what you call voice notes. Someone sends, instead of writing a note, writing the message, they speak and then they send in that voice. Those are what you call voice notes. So still, the communication does not really change that much. Say, hey, I am Bosco. I am sending you a message from Bristol. Last week, we made a quotation. We are kind of following up on the next course of action. Okay? That's a voice note, and then you send it. And if you see a voice note, you can say reply with a voice note or reply in written and say, this is good evening, this is noted. I will ask the human resource to process this. Voice notes, still politeness is very important. How you conduct yourself when meeting other people is also still very important. It's part of the etiquette. When having an important meeting, switch off the phone. And if you are an emergency person where your phone needs to be on, at least the ring it should be in vibration, or the ringtone should be in a lower volume. Okay, that's very key. If you're going to, if you're in a place which is quite busy with a lot of interruptions, move to a place where you don't have disturbances. Okay, so that marks the end of our presentation. We have looked at etiquette, which is basically about good manners. You are all expected to have good manners when interacting with different people, whether they are below you or even above you, whether in verbal communication or in written communication, where the different digital platforms that we have. Thank you. If you have any questions,